Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys a game from the qualifying rounds of the Premier League Qualifiers EU. It's going to be the quarterfinals here, and we're going to see Radical Online Extremists, RoX.KIS, going up against TTN in this quarterfinal best-of-one matchup. So I myself am Blaze, casting alongside Rainmaker here. Going to be looking forward to a nice game. Spoiler alert, the last one went in favor of Icy Cup. They did a really good job against Grandmothers, keeping the pressure rolling, and hopefully we'll see as much action as we did previously in this one here.
Did you just say grandmothers, Blaze?
I meant to say grandfathers, might have been a weird slip there, but nevertheless.
But yeah, I'm really excited to see both these teams. Again, I believe this is a quarterfinals game, so both teams have gone through very stiff competition to get here. And, you know, while I'm just basically really excited to see them. Like, I haven't actually seen much of TTN, so I couldn't really speak to their playstyle, but I gotta say, just based on their bans right now, I'm pretty sure they'll go for something a little bit interesting. When you go and ban out a Coddle, and you have, like, first pick and, you know, access into that kind of counter-pushing ability, you are basically, and you also ban a Nyx Assassin, you're basically saying you want your supports to get levels and you want to be aggressive on towers. We might soon see like some sort of pushing line coming out for them, and when your other team has a Nyx Assassin, you know, and this will seem a little bit strange, it's very difficult to push because your supports are always going to be underfarmed, they're always going to be underleveled, you have to spend a lot of money on sentries, on wards.
5 seconds
It just puts a huge burden on that you don't really get back from just the towers. For a pushing lineup, you want your supports to, you know, get all those critical items, the urns, the force staffs, and the mechanisms, for example. So I think they're just, you know, really good bans, and that's a lot of teamfight coming out from the Magnus.
Sure enough, that's going to add in a lot of potential there, and like you said, if they go for a push-oriented lineup there, the Blink Dagger will be easy pickings for this guy here if he goes for the mid lane or whatever, but as kind of counter picks going on through, we do have the Darkseer, which has his own form of AoE positioning control through that vacuum instead of the reverse polarity, but on top of that, they pick up the Wisp. Now, I have seen some cheeky play where they go for Darkseer, Ion Shells a Wisp, Ion Shells himself, relocate on top of somebody, and just do a world of damage in that short time period where they are present, relocating on in there, and yeah, I mean, Ion Shell is, of course, something you can set up based off cooldown and duration on 2 people at once, and if you can get it set up properly, it can be very painful to deal with, so not sure if they're going to make Darkseer a core hero in that regard, or just use him as a very powerful offlaner, and the fact that he can survive most circumstances just by using that surge and running on through there. But I gotta say, as far as our RoX.KIS, I was looking at their trek through the qualifiers, and they actually took down absolute legends, which was kind of an upset there, and obviously showing that they have a lot of potency in whatever lineup they go on through. So I expect some really awesome play coming out of these guys, just top tier.
Definitely. Another interesting thing is this Magnus is probably going to be, wow, these are sick picks. Anyway, but if the Magnus does go for the mid lane, the Darkseer matches up very favorably against him. Normally Magnus, you know, does fairly well against most melee heroes, and like he always will have access to Bottle Crow Shockwave spam, but a lot of really quick picks. But Darkseer beats Magnus mid is the main point. It does look, however, there's going to be a Queen of Pain mid who does very well against Darkseer. Back into the new picks. Radical Online Extremists, they're going for the CK Wisp lineup again. And you know, that I'm curious to see how they'll go, because they do have a lot of AoE. The Magnus and Queen of Pain provide a lot of AoE in the late game to go and deal with the Chaos Knight's illusions, and the Bane basically, you know, destroys a Chaos Knight in the early game. This is a game where Chaos Knight will really need a BKB, and that's not an item you actually want to get on a Chaos Knight. Getting things like Armlet, Heart, Django, you know, these things really boost your illusions, increase your effective DPS. And BKB is kind of like that, you know, necessary evil that you need to get just so you don't lose the game.
I suppose so, but even if he did pick up a Black King Bar, there are still plenty of disables that would penetrate on through. They got the Fiend's Grip channel from the Bane. They have the reverse polarity from the Magnus. So I really think that what they're going to try to do is more so just be able to overwhelm the enemy with just sheer aggression to the point that they can't get big levels on Queen of Pain. She can't feel safe to just farm up on Creep Wave after Creep Wave solo and get big Sonic Wave, get big Scream, and those kind of things would obviously cripple her as far as her magic damage potential, which would help Chaos Knight quite a bit. On top of that, Overcharge can go up to about, I think, 20% damage reduction, so that's going to be pretty substantial if the Wisp and CK are buddy-buddy all together there, but it does make sure that the Wisp has to get some farm. If he's just on boots and a magic wand, it's not going to cut it. He needs some maybe arcanes, maybe a mechanism, just to make sure that he can sustain that kind of skill build and kind of go from there. But the fact of the matter is, it's all on them. The chips are on the table. disable. Wisp and CK together, they can do so much aggression, have a lot of potential. They just need vision and the right timing. I mean, Bane is even one of those heroes that you can pick off pretty effectively. Yeah, he gets 2 good disables. He might be able to Nightmare 1 and Fiend's Grip another to try to, delay that 12-second period and force them back from there, but he's not a disruptor. He's not somebody who can just be like, Glimpse, you're out of here, I don't have to deal with you anymore. It's still very prevalent, and from there, I think there's still a lot of potential one way or another. The question is, now with these interesting bans, the Templar Assassin, Lone Druid, and Luna taking off the board, as well as the Lifestealer, the Anti-Mage, and the Phantom Lancer, do you think the Chaos Knight is going to play as a number 1 core hero, or just as a gank-oriented semi-carry?
I believe in this position, looking at their bans, he looks like he wants to be playing in a 1 hero, because they're basically banning out those melee carries that, with the Empower, can completely dominate a Chaos Knight. Wow, that's an interesting list to pick up. Just before we get into that, I gotta say that we're seeing a very consistent thing from teams that are picking up a Wisp lineup in banning out super hard carries, and they want to shorten the game. And I think one real reason is you can't very well aggressively... Okay, everything I know is wrong. Gyrocopter gets picked up, they might go and actually aggressively tri-lane with the Chaos Knight. And I don't know how well that will work.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Gyrocopter has a lot of potential. If he gets some farm there, he can go for some big damage through the Flak Cannon and make sure that there's going to be, knocking down everybody. It won't be able to do anything interesting as far as, like, obviously the vacuum will help him out a little bit, keeping them in range, but as far as what he's meant to counteract, I'm not entirely sure there. The Lich will still be able to get a lot of damage through that ultimate. The Chaos Knight will be able to dissipate that a little bit with the illusions from the... Phantasm, so I don't know why I forgot that for a second, but then also Darkseer's Wall of Replica will help out with that. But until Gyrocopter gets a Manta, they're going to still have to deal with that Lich ultimate and deal with a lot of damage coming out of that. But that's kind of what I was thinking. The Faceless Void, they needed something to hold the opposition in place. If they go for a Faceless Void, what they can do is, get a good Chronosphere, pop off the Sonic Wave, the Chain Frost, a little bit of Nuke with Brain Sap, maybe a Fiend's Grip on somebody that's in a weird position, so that Magnus can come on in, even without a Blink Dagger. He can skewer on in, get a good reverse polarity. Of course, this could be reversed, completely different orders as far as how the engagements happen. Twista is just one really, really powerful initiating type individual as far as a player skill set, so he can definitely make magic happen all by himself. But the fact of the matter is, Faceless Void with that Time Walk, with that Chrono, can lock down people and put them in spots they don't want to be, so that they can set up those big ultimates as well. So it comes down to initiation, counter initiation, but I gotta say, if you can get some levels on the supports, if you can get that Lich up to level 6 or 11, and at least the Bane to level 6, you will be able to dish out a lot of damage with these guys here.
Yeah, I think a lot of it comes down to how well they're able to go and keep the Magnus down on the offlane, because actually we might see something really interesting if they decide to go for it. It depends on how Radiant lanes, but it looks like, it's just going to be the long lane Darkseer. What they can actually do is grab a Magnus and Lich and put them dual bot. This was common maybe 2 versions ago with a Potom and a Lich, or a Windrunner and Lich, and it basically guarantees your experience on your other offlaner and gives the Lich some much needed experience as well, while denying the enemy carry farm.
A couple of interesting things going on into the laning phase prior to it. Really, really good pre-game action coming out of the Chaos Knight and the Wisp here. Going and tethering down these trees, allowing them to creep pull very aggressively with the easy camp, and also Wisp briefly checking out. They knew the Lich was in the lineup, and of course Empower and the Ice Armor both making it a little bit easier to Roshan if that's something they wanted to go for there. So the fact of the matter is, he checked it out real quick, had that tether available if he needed to jump on out to his Chaos Knight buddy there. But what we're looking at here is a dual mid between these two, and it's going to be very powerful indeed. Faceless Void is actually farming up on the mid for right now with that Quelling Blade. That will leave some room for as far as making sure that the supports can get their own experience and that kind of thing, but all in all, I'm not sure if that's the right course of action, or if he's just... No, I think he's just blocking. What I think is going to happen is Faceless Void, as soon as he sees this dual mid especially, is going to transition in towards top instead of having to go 2 versus 2 in this dual lane, because Void is the most scalable carry in this game by far. Gyrocopter is great. I mean, Divine Rapier, holy crap, he can dish out a lot, but after the Flat Cannon buff is expired, he doesn't have that much damage output. Faceless Void, on the other hand, with Backtrack, with Time Lock, that kind of scalability through attack speed and effective HP will make sure that he's very, very prevalent at, the hour mark as far as the game goes. So the later the better for him, and for that reason, he wants to just safely farm away and try to get some good last hits in, and I don't think that's going to be really possible in a 2 versus 2 Lich Void versus the Wisp CK here.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious as to why they decided to go for it, but it does seem, fairly planned. I don't know if they'll actually rotate. They might just be saying that our Void will get a little bit less farm. But to counteract that, we're going to make sure that our Queen of Pain does really well, and Queen of Pain would not be getting experience in this mid lane. So the Lich will constantly pull the wave back. The Wisp isn't going to be that effective at lower levels, and it's just going to be, you know, kind of farming that pull camp. And what would a Queen of Pain do in this situation? The Creep Wave would always be on the enemy hill. He'd be in like constant fear of the Rift Bolt combo. And this is kind of making the best of a bad situation. They're going to lose this lane, right? But this is making him lose it a little bit less badly, and as long as the Faceless Void plays a bit defensively, he does have an escape. The real person who's going to have to watch for positioning here is that Lich. And I'm going to take a second and see if I can go and fix some internet settings, because I'm lagging just a little bit, so you're going to have to solo cast for a bit here, Blaze.
No problem at all. But Sidoi is going on that off lane. That's pretty much the role that he always takes up. He's really good on the lone druid or whoever he relents himself to, but he's going to pick up the Darkseer for the time being, and he should be pretty good at just getting out of a bad situation there. The Nightmare can come out to follow a Surge, and since Surge is a relatively short duration at rank 1, looking at only, the Nightmare will follow. The Shadow Strike will actually counteract it, but he's taking a lot of right-click damage here. I don't think it'll be enough, as it's only level 1 Bane, no Brain Sap to follow, otherwise it could have been very, very high damage potential there, but in the meantime, there has been a lot of mid-lane pulling action. Creep's going to respawn here very shortly, but as far as just looking at the experience per minute straight up, the Chaos Knight has 240 compared to the Faceless Void's 128, and it's obviously just straight up to the fact that half those creep waves have been denied to the Wisp, pulling on through and making sure the neutrals can take most of those hits there. So along those lines, despite having a lineup that generally gives the experience advantage in favor of your lane, with that Lich, with that sacrifice, making sure they get 0% experience from one creep, currently per 35 seconds per wave, the fact of the matter is that Wisp is kind of doing the exact same thing, and even more effectively right now, with these very aggressive pulls, and if they don't do something about it soon, it's going to start spiraling out of control. Faceless Void getting underleveled here. So, like I said, I'm surprised that he didn't go up towards the top lane and transition in Quap or something along those lines, but the fact of the matter is he's going to have a hard time. Like, the creeps are on the tower, the Chaos Knight has no Stout Shield, so he will take some hits there, here and there, but in general, he's going to be able to come out on top as the lane gets more and more pulled back, and he's in a more defensive position where they can't go aggressive on him.
Yep. In the meantime, though, this Magnus is getting, you know, quite a good bit of experience on the bot lane. Looks like they're going to go on him with that missile coming in from Gyrocopter, but I don't think they'll be able to get the kill, even if it hits it at a decent point.
Yeah, so Twister going to be able to just fall back from there, and he'll be able to salve on out. He does take a decent chunk of damage, but nothing he can't deal with, especially with that Stout Shield, eating up a lot of right-click damage in the meantime. But Faceless Void only sitting at 2.5, Chaos Knight moving up on through with that level 4. It's going to get painful once he hits 4400, and even when he gets some crit skilled up. I mean, the fact of the matter is that rank 4 Reality Rift and Chaos Bolt is a force to be reckoned with, and even a Faceless Void, he's going to have to play defensively. He's going to have to go for backtrack and for time lock, more so than his time lock, which is generally not how you want to play him with the most recent changes. Time lock is such a great...
Yeah, you would like to get that bash.
Yeah, that's such a great passive during Chronosphere if you get the attack speed to really commit to it, but he's not going to be a Midas Void. He's not going to be a highly aggressive one. He's going to have to fall back and try to survive as best he can, and obviously that's not where you generally want to be at. But finally, a ward comes out, blocking off this easy camp pull, and of course there is one more being taken off, and CK and Wisp want to try to retaliate, but it looks like TTN's going to get away with that one, just barely. Cap 4 KM, falling back for the time being. Chaos Knight going for that Reality Rift, almost had the vision, but got fogged out at the last second, so just going to fall back from there, giving Void a little bit of time solo on the lane, but the big deal is that that spawn has been capped off and will no longer be as much of a nuisance as it was.
I think this is going to actually have to be a Midas Void game, because you want to get Void some accelerated farm. Normally you can do that through a Battle Fury, but when you're playing against a Wisp CK lineup, Battle Fury is really not an option, because you know you always
on the mid, there is Reality Rift going on through with that tether up, 2 seconds stun on Lich. It's going to be the first blood. Does get a nice little bash on the Keys CK, but just too much damage coming out. He got a really, really high roll on the Chaos Bolt, the randomness factor to that. The 2 second stuns, pretty formidable, but the fact of the matter is the damage came out and was able to deliver a lot of pain to that Lich, who just wasn't ready for it. Only 500 HP and only 1 armor, obviously not having the Ice Armor skilled up anytime soon. And with that, just easy pickings when they want to go aggressive there. So now they've counteracted that ward with the Sentry. It seems that that's blocked. I'm not 100%. Let's see. Yeah, no, it's spawning, so good play by the Wisp, making sure he has that available and just continuing to do exactly what he's been doing, pulling and, of course, feeding the Chaos Knight that first blood, setting him up very, very successfully that way. So RoX starting off very strong in this combination here, and actually going on the Faceless Void, doesn't even get a chance to time walk out. No backtracks, not at least no successful ones. And with that, it's going to give CK the treads. give that much more base strength and just be able to do that much more right-click damage. It's just ridiculous how much they can put out here. And if the Wisp goes for a bottle, which he has, that means Biz is not going to have to worry about mana whatsoever. Actually, even almost going on the Lich right here. It's kind of taunting him a little bit, but the fact of the matter is, with the bottle, he will be able to get 1.5 times the amount per sip just by the fact that Wisp is healing in that with the tether.
You know, it's just, again, like, we knew they would lose this lane, but it's kind of, they weren't able to go and play defensive enough, right? They weren't able to get that ward down to block the pull, and with this level disparity, it's getting really bad. It looks like they're just transitioning the Void up to top lane now, and he'll do a lot better here. And at this point, it looks like the Quap will be able to do fairly well against the duo lane mid. She still has a pretty decent... She's actually on par with the Chaos Knight. This Chaos Knight has got a ton of experience from those kills. But it looks like she'll be able to handle herself. She's got the blink, and I think it's time for this Lich to also just leave, because he's not going to be able to contribute anything to the lane besides an occasional deny.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. He's denying one per wave, which counteracts a little bit of what was going on with that Wisp, but just the power of just using one single sentry and taking the opportunity to make sure this mechanic can still be exploited. That's really, really high potential control. It has forced now the Faceless Void and the Lich both out of lane there, and it looks like the Queen of Pain is even just going to focus more on a ganking mindset in the mid rather than, you know, staying and farming when she might get locked down too hard. Now, there is a rocket coming on through to do a little bit of harassment on Magnus, but that double damage will be expiring shortly. So, all in all, there's not really too much opportunity to do much here. The Shockwave or two can come out, as well as the Skewer, but underneath the tower, they won't be able to dive very, very aggressively here.
Yep, it's almost getting to the really dangerous point of the game, though. This Chaos Knight has farmed very well. Well, I take that back. He's farmed fairly well, given that it was a contested lane against the Lich. So you have to just take that into account. But he's farmed pretty well. He's got his treads, he's got a bracer. Looks like he's going to be working towards that Django. Mid lane, he's going to get another kill. Yeah, that's it for a second.
Sure enough, anytime they go up aggressive in this position here, if they leave from the safety of their tower, TPs aren't going to be fast enough. I mean, Town Portals will come in eventually, but beyond that, there's just really not enough follow-up there. And it looks like on the bottom there, Rubik was playing a little bit over-aggressively, has committed telekinesis after telekinesis on this Magnus without getting really that much damage on in, so with a little bit of Shockwave, Queen of Pain committing the ultimate was able to bring him down, so that's nice. However, here comes Business Perfect, popping off that 3-second Chaos Bolt, going to be able to bring him down. Wisp taking a little bit intact with that Spring 3 Spirits, finishing the job there, but the Relocate is available, and possibly soon Arcane Boots, so that they don't have to worry about mana one little bit. Will continuously be able to sustain and keep that gank train rolling, which is really the momentum shift that they want. Look at the gold graph, and they experience exactly the same, just over 3,000. They're just moving right along the way they want to. Keep a nice advantage through kills and through pressure on the lanes in general. With TPing on it, Queen of Pain doesn't have that ultimate just yet. Will the stand-in here, Bucktop, be able to respond in kind? I don't know. They have the illusion popped off from Wisp, diving a little bit behind the tower, but they're not going to go aggressive just yet.
Yeah, I think at this point, you know...
Relocate up top. Telekinesis started off with that damage coming out. There is going to be the Time Walk with the Router Rift, rank 4, pulling him in so much range out of that. Magnus skewering into a bad position. Doesn't have that ultimate just yet. And Twista taking a lot of damage from the Spirits. From the Iron Shell, 2 seconds left on the Wisp. Relocate will take the Wisp away, but CK wants more. Finishes off the Magnus. Now looking for that Lich, and with the vacuum, clearing out the trees. They're going to get a double kill for it. Business Perfect. Going for a triple. There is Bane taking so much damage, getting right-clicked on down. Queen of Pain is trying to finish off the Rubik and will be able to do so with that Shadow Strike, but in the meantime, taking a lot of damage right here. Nice Scream. Gets a triple kill for herself. Beautiful play by Grazine. I mean, honestly, they underestimated her. They let her do exactly what she wanted to do, but Grazine taking multiple rank 4 screams for rank 4 screams underneath her own tower really, really set them up to be able to turn that around quite a bit, and they just overstayed their welcome just a bit too much.
Yeah, but I think, you know, the damage was done. They were able to get, you know, Chaos Knight got experience for all 3 kills top. Then, while the Queen of Pain came back, they lost the Void. They lost this already sad Lich, this already sad Bane. The supports are very, very, very squishy now, and if they show their face, they're going to die. At this point, the Chaos Knight can go and farm really safely. He can just be in a lane, push out a lane, and whenever he sees a hero on the map, they're dead. As long as the Wisp is around, they're already dead. This Wisp also has those Arcane Boots. We might actually see another Soul Ring. The mana is not going to be an issue. CK is going for Armlet. The amount of pressure that the CK is going to be able to generate is going to give the Gyrocopter room to completely free farm.
Now going for the Router Rift on mid, Magnus can just completely obliterate it, and there's really nothing they can do with the saddest part of it. Like, they don't have any hard disables. They don't have like a Beastmaster Roar or something to stop the CK, and another follow-up Reality Rift, come in the mana, and actually Miss Nightmare means that Bane will fall as well. The ultimate does come out of Queen of Pain. Is there enough damage to finish off Bane? Nice Brain Sap, they both take a fall, and now it's going to be the Wisp that's on the retreat. Mana available for the tether, but getting blocked off for the time being. We'll be able to tether on out to his buddy right here to safety as he falls back and just tries to bottle on through that Shadow Strike. So a little bit overcommitted, but it still is favorable. It's always going to be a favorable exchange for them when they get those kills and keep those kills rolling. So 5, 2, and 6 for the CK. Grazine taking some good experience, going to get that rank 2 ultimate pretty soon, but at what cost?
Yep. And in the meantime, it looks like this Darkseer is going for that mech, and he's almost got it. So they're just causing so much havoc in this mid-game with this CK. I think they're basically playing it perfectly. They're causing a lot of havoc with the CK and just giving room for their side lanes to free farm. The one problem is they are not pressuring the Void enough. It looks like Relocate is up though, and they're probably going to go and just land on him and give him a really, really bad time. Gyrocopter's also coming into position. Maybe we'll see a homing missile.
Yeah, probably either that or a call down to start things off to force him back with that ultimate. He popped off his flat cannon actually to do a little bit of harassment. So where are the Wisp and CK are actually up in the mid lane. Sorry about that. Relocated on in about 5 seconds ago, but we're able to pick off that kill on Bane. And now the ultimate, the Lich will not be able to TP on out with that tether stun. Get one more right click is all they need, but juking on through the trees, no, it's going to be the Urn to finish him off. Nice Urn pick up there, and you know, the Face of Void wants something of a little piece of this, but with only rank 2 time walk and that 3-second stun, not going to be able to accomplish too much there. And Ruik, for the time being, surviving, has that Brain Sap, uses it along with that Wisp tether to finish the job there. So nice little play, double kill for Yol in the end, which is really, really nice. I thought he was going to go for a really quick mech. We're looking for a Outer Rift. Tether stun comes through. A 2-second stun will be enough. It is with that Fade Bolt. Not getting backtrack. He's definitely going to get locked down there, and they can actually finally turn this into a push. Not that they necessarily need it, but the pressure is there, and they can easily put some damage out here. But one thing I got to say about the Wisp items was I thought he was going to go for like a mech rush, but it's Darkseer that has actually opted for that role, and instead the Wisp is picking up a bunch of really inexpensive but very effective items. Picking up the Urn of Shadows, using it right there to kill the Lich, and of course items like Magic Wand, Bottle, that kind of thing. CK getting the kill on tower and now killing the Lich. Trying to get the deny, obviously not favorable for him at all, just feeding more and more. As now we look at a gold advantage of 10k, only 12.5 minutes in. Holy crap, is there a way out?
I can't see it. Again, if you have to turtle, you should be turtling with a Faceless Void, because I feel this is the only hero that can really bring them back in this game. But I'm not sure that's going to be enough, because this Gyrocopter is getting basically free farm. Going for that Helm of Dominator, it looks like he's getting like stacks up. And once he gets damage, Flat Cannon's going to instantly kill the enemy supports.
Speaking of instantly killing enemy supports, Faceless Void locked down, but here comes the Bane kill. Just can't even pop off anything. Brain Sap is all he can get off before he's going to get dropped down by one more. There's a Fade Bolt to finish the job. Grazine coming on in, wants to pop out that screen. Is he going to cop the ultimate? Gets stunned up instead. 3-second stun. Will it be enough? Magnus coming on in. Twista wants that RP. Not going to get it. Instead, monster kill streak for a friggin' Wisp. 13-minute monster kill for Wisp. That's when you know that you're having a bad game.
You know, speaking of all these cheap, inexpensive items that we're seeing on the Wisp, I would love to see a medallion just to go and kind of like increase the effectiveness of the CK even more. Because while the Mech Rush is really good on a Wisp, he doesn't get it quite quickly enough. And you know, if it's just you and a CK teleporting around the map, you're not getting like maximum value out of the mech. I actually definitely prefer a mech on a hero like Darkseer, who's definitely like a team fight specialist. You know that the mech will hit multiple targets. Looks like they're diving on the bot lane, and
what's to stop them, really? Popping off the ultimate, though. Twista does get that skew run out, and there's a reverse polarity to follow up, and nice little bit of damage coming out Faceless Void with that ultimate. Now Gyrocopter is going to take a lot of damage right here, but the Wisp comes in. CK survives, and instead it's going to be the Time Walk coming on through the ultimate, finishing off Gyrocopter with the Blink Scream. Now Lich popping off that Frost Blast, but the Armlet Toggle comes on through, trying to bring down Lich. Oh, there is enough damage with that Outer Rift, but he will take a fall in the end. However, the Tier 2 is also going to be taken down. No TP available for the Wisp. Is he going to find an opportunity to tether to the creeps? He jukes on through. It doesn't break down these trees. Interesting. One way or another, though, he is trying to be on the run. The Shadow Strike, just ulti. He's going to be back in a few seconds. I don't know if that was effective enough. They're currently, they forgot about him, presumably. So he is going to be back down. He's bringing a CK, a little bit of a bodyguard of security, but he's perfectly fine. Nobody going to mess with that one way or another.
It looks like CK is actually going for the Manta style with that Band of Elven skin pickup. I mean, we could see the Sanjin Yasha, and that's pretty good, because with the Disable, you can go into a Halberd and the Manta style, but Manta style is one of the most cost-effective items on TK, and he's going to get another kill on the Faceless Void here.
So ridiculous, and neither one of those were backtracked, just big burst damage, and like you said, Manta style is so great because not only does it add in a lot of just damage from the stats itself, but when you pop off the Phantasms with with that Manta style, with the armlet already active, so it adds that 25 temporary strength to each one of those illusion stats. He'll be able to Reality Rift every single one of them on in here, and Bane's going to get dropped down. Lich as well. There is no hope. There honestly is no hope at all. They can't. They have to go as 5 and like watch that Faceless Void farm. Otherwise, every single one of them is going to get dropped down immediately. And honestly, RoX' team fight isn't even that bad. The Darkseer has a mech. He'll get Wall of Replica probably next level, and from there they can pretty much do whatever they need to make sure this win is secured.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, we're saying that like they have to go and sit behind their carry. And to be honest, if you look last game, that's actually what Icy Cup did. They just sat as 5 and pushed towers. The problem is they don't have, you know, a carry that can push towers on the dire lineup, and it looks like this Faceless Void's going for PKB, and it looks like he's gonna die. So there's just nothing they can do, right? They actually need to watch a Void farm, and they're too far behind to really make that effective. Also, another thing, yeah, they're calling the GG.
Yeah, understandably so. I mean, look at the dire wards right now. This is their ward vision. They are warding halfway into their own jungle because all warding up the rune spawn wouldn't be enough. Knowing in time, they don't have enough time to react to it and process it, because there's just that range of initiation in Reality Rift has really set them up for so many kills. And Biz is perfect, and being able to be set up to just do so much damage. I can tell why they put out so much pressure on other big name teams like Absolute Legends, and they obviously take this win here, moving on to the semifinals. But holy crap, they've just been so aggressive, so high potential. It's been non-stop essentially, and actually not getting the cast bolt on the Queen of Pain to finish her off, but one way or another, they're just have done so effectively. I mean, 11-0-13 Wisp hasn't died at all, has so much damage coming out. I don't even know what that ultimate orb is for. I don't want to know. It's probably like a scythe. But
Scotty.
It's got shit. But yeah, you know, shoot some blue orbs on your blue orbs, but nevertheless, this has just been ridiculous. And now Sidoi going in the enemy base, actually getting dropped down by Gazine a little bit. The one thing I got to say, their only mistake.
The only thing that Darkseer has done this game. I'm pretty sure that's the first time I saw the Darkseer in a fight.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, he is sitting, you know, high and dry, 1, 2, and 3. He hasn't done all that much. He hasn't had to. Like, he's been there ready and able if he needs to, but there haven't been team fights. It's been pick off after pick off, just playing the Wisp CK lineup to its fullest there. And just in general, it's been really, really solid. I hate to call it a stomp, but they just had the momentum for out of the gate. And I gotta say, the only mistake they made at all is they underestimated the Queen of Pain like a couple times. Right there, Darkseer obviously getting caught out, but really, other than the top tier 1, they've played a flawless game. And they've just been all over the map doing exactly what they need to do. And now we see even Gyrocopter with Hyperstone. He's just been farming away. While CK's been farming heroes, he's been farming creeps up, including ancient stacks all across. So all in all, he's got a lot of GPM under his belt, and he's carrying just as effectively as that CK is. So every single one of them playing very nicely here.
Yeah, I definitely like this kind of play where you have a CK and, like, you know, you start out farming quite a bit, but then he kind of almost rotates to a 3 roll where he just creates a lot of space. In this game, Gyrocopter was just playing insurance carry. Like, if everything went terribly wrong, you still have a Gyrocopter with Manta plus items, right? They didn't need to have it, but I think playing in a way that gives you that kind of safeguard is pretty strong.
Yeah, really, really powerful there. I mean, it was effectively a 2 versus 5 in some circumstances, and they pulled it out very effectively. Good roaming from Rubik. I mean, he seemed to always have just that little extra Fade Bolt to apply pressure there, but in the meantime, like you said, Gyrocopter had plenty of room to breathe, did whatever he needed to do to make sure that, I mean, you're looking at 146 last hits, 18 minutes. I guess that's nothing in comparison to the hero kills that are on the board for that Wisp and CK, but that's just how it works out.
It's pretty good. Like, I don't think you can complain about that one. He actually out GPM'd the Chaos Knight, who was 10-3, so, like, wow, this Chaos Knight had 43 last hits.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah, he hasn't... Also, Wisp.KIS a little bit too much, but, you know, earn charge here and there will always contribute quite a bit to the fight. But he got a lot of assists. He was kind of supporting the Wisp here in this buddy-buddy system. But all in all, they shared the glory. They did a lot of damage, and I got to say, those two together won the game easily. And I think it was a little bit of a mistake by the draft and the situation TTN brought to it with putting the Faceless Void Lich in the mid lane. Right off the bat, I said that's not going to work. 2 versus 2 there with the mid pull. If the mid pull hadn't been a factor, it might have been okay. But the fact that they can control the lane so effectively there on the Radiant side blew them out of the water. They didn't have a chance in that lane specifically, and consequently the game is they didn't really adapt to what was going on there.
I think, you know, like, when I first saw it, I figured they had, like, a plan, because they looked very confident. They moved both the heroes there, and, you know, they didn't even attempt to move when they saw it was dual lane on dual lane. But I feel that now this is probably something that they've experimented with, and it's just not effective unless you can block that pull cam. Because in theory, right, if you have well, Wisp and sorry, in theory, like Faceless Void and Lich is pretty good against most dual lane combinations because you just deny them a ton of experience and the Void gets some farm. But with those mid pulls, it's just too much. You completely get out denied, right, by this Wisp who gets more experience than your Lich does, and you're in a really bad spot. I feel that kind of cost them the game. I would have actually loved to have seen, the Lich go bot lane with that Magnus, put the Queen of Pain middle. Yes, she'll get shut down, but she'll get, more experience, and she'll be able to blink out because the animation on Chaos Knight's Bolt is still enough for you to actually get the blink off if you have vision of him. And then you get a Void free farming top. With a Bane, you can actually keep that Darkseer level 1 for a surprising amount of time. And your Void gets free farm. They needed to play it that way because there's no way they can take it to the late game with a CK and a Gyrocopter. So just there's no way that RoX can take it in the late game against a Faceless Void even though they have the CK Gyrocopter. So it's kind of not good laning decisions, I feel, from the Dire side.
Sure enough, sure enough. Well, that's going to be it for that semifinals round, quarterfinals rounds. There were 2 other games that were played, but didn't get a chance. Obviously, we have to move on forward to finish off this tournament here. We're going to go on into semifinal round. I believe it's going to be 3D Max going up against RoX.KIS, so that's going to be, we looked at this game, and it was just out of the gate. Huge aggression from WizTK, and that's the style that 3D Max likes to play as well, so we'll have to see these guys bump heads, and if it's non-stop 5v5, so be it. We'll see, but looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this game here. Obviously, this was the quarterfinals of the Premier League European qualifiers, and we'll move on into the semifinal rounds now to see who is going to be proceeding on. This is going to be a best of 1 to follow, and then a best of 3 series for the finals. So, looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Blaze and Rainmaker. Catch you on the next one.
GG, guys. Cheers.